How's it going, guys? It is Fox98 here and welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today we are here with another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode for you guys here at the Canadian Grand Prix for season number 2. If you end up enjoying today's video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well, as we try and make our way towards 20,000 subscribers. And as you can see, heading into this race weekend, we are set to have yet another wet Grand Prix, which if you haven't seen the last episode, be sure to go check that one out before you go ahead and check out this episode. You would have known that the last episode was an absolute disaster because it was a full wet race at Azerbaijan and we lasted 6 laps before we crashed into the wall and retired from that Grand Prix. But heading into this Grand Prix, of course, Canada is one of my strongest circuits on the calendar, so I'm feeling a lot more confident that even though there's going to be wet conditions, we can actually make do with it. But as you can see, then we're just pretty much going through the R&D graph and just seeing where I pretty much fancy making my upgrades in. It was quite weird actually to see that if I did a rush development, it would only come in earlier by like 3 or 4 days compared to doing it standard. So there kind of wasn't really any point in doing that. So we're not going to do that. But of course, you can see the beautiful paddock club there. I have explored this track actually in greater detail than some. As we get a little bit of talking to there from our engineer. As we go through the final corner now, and we blast our way onto the start-finish right here. To cross the start-finish line, it is going to be a 1:07.5 to go 8 100ths of a second shy of Charles Leclerc. But of course, Q1, as we know, for us now is our norm. It's just getting out of Q1. So we just do the 1 lap, and as you can see, we get through in P7. My teammate Perez there, just 10th and a bit back in P10. So good qualifying there for us. Through into Q2, and as you can see, the traditionals are out, which is Alfa Romeo, Haas, and Williams. Surprising how, even though we've gone through loads of developments, it's still the usuals from real life F1 that are out in Q1. So, yeah, I feel kind of bad for them. It's towards Q2 now, and the weather actually changed a little bit. So we had a little bit of wet conditions. As you can see, my gearbox there is already on 76%, and that was actually quite concerning. As we now go through in towards the last chicane here, taking a hell of a lot of curb. And as we go towards the start-finish line now, we are going to come across the line and set a 1:10.5, which puts us 2/10 shy of Ricciardo in P3. But of course, it's just about getting into Q3, and with the track conditions not really getting any better, we were able to make our way through quite easily. What was quite worrying is the Vettel and Leclerc were quicker than me on the medium tyres. Although, in these sort of changeable conditions, the AI are normally quicker than you anyway, so yeah, we can't really take that for granted. But Bottas there does get knocked out in Q2, so a big shock there for the Mercedes man, and he'll be very disappointed with that one. In towards Q3 we go now, and the track conditions have dried back up again, so we've got maximum grip, and we can get on with our qualifying session as we go through the last corner now, taking the short run to the line here at Canada, and as we come across now, it's a 1:7.2, which puts us onto provisional pole position on the first set of laps there. But we can go a little bit quicker. In fact, Ricciardo and Perez have gone a little bit quicker now in this session, as we now make our way in towards the last corner here now. And we just get a little bit wayward on the exit of the corner. But we're up by nearly half a second now. So as we come across the start-finish line, it's a 1:6.7. And that puts us on pole position here for the Canadian Grand Prix. But have a little look now as we come through there. Yeah, you would have just seen that we flipped through there. On that lap, obviously, I didn't really realise, but I'd lost second gear, which is a worry. We got pole position by 0.3 of a second over Daniel Ricciardo. Hamilton in P3, ahead of Perez in P4, Ocon in P5, but I had a problem, and that was, of course, my gearbox failed in qualifying. Yeah. So, for this Grand Prix, knowing that it's A, going to be wet, and B, knowing just how quick I am around Canada, I am going to change the gearbox for this race. Which is kind of annoying because I've made 2 big upgrades for the gearbox durability and it still fails. To be honest, it is probably just my driving style, how I drive, because I kind of rag cars a little bit. But it's a bit annoying that I have to change the gearbox again. But we've got to do what we've got to do. So, you know, let's get on with it. So, as you can see, with all the track conditions in there, we've got 3 upgrades on the way. 80% on the gearbox. It failed in qualifying. I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to go and get a new gearbox. We're going to be starting in P6, which is still high up the order, so that's fine. Looking at the grid then itself, obviously, what we can confirm is that also Daniel Ricciardo took a grid penalty because he would have started on pole had it not been for my gearbox problems. So, where's he starting then? We start P5 in this race, so Ricciardo has taken a 10-place grid penalty, and you'll see him in uno momento. There he is with that 10-place grid penalty. So, our 5-place grid penalty has turned into a 4-place grid penalty. So it's all much the better for us. It was a good idea. Of course, there are plenty of penalties that are going to be coming our way later on this season for myself and Sergio. So I'm just going to do them at tracks that I'm really, really strong at. Canada, I love to pieces. We've got a wet race here today. Intermediate conditions though, unlike in Baku where it's full wet. But we've got a dry spell coming at the end. So here we go then, we're on to 5 red lights now here for the start of the Canadian Grand Prix, and it's like time we go here to start the race then. It's a good start from Hamilton, a bit of a tentative one for my teammate Perez then. It's a great start for us though as we get off the line really nicely, and we're going to go down the inside of Ocon and also Verstappen there to go up into 3rd place now for the Canadian Grand Prix. 2 places gained straight away there as Verstappen tries to fight off the Renault of Ocon here and get in front of him. That'd be crucial for Renault if Verstappen gets past, because of course Verstappen is a much slower car than ourselves, and he does so. He's passed Ocon there, so a bad start for the Renault drivers. We now make our way through in towards this tricky middle sector, trying to feel our way through the circuit. Again, wet conditions, which in Azerbaijan cost me dearly, but here it shouldn't be as terrible. Still going to be very, very cautious and respect the fact that I crashed out in last race, but we should be alright as we go a little bit wide there on the exit of that, missing our braking point ever so slightly back in, coming out on us a little bit there, but we're still in one piece for now, as we now go through in towards the hairpin. You can see here, braking nice and early, and actually we outdid ourselves a tiny bit there on the hairpin. Now all of a sudden, we've got to see the pace between myself versus Perez versus Hamilton. Verstappen's in a Red Bull is a lot further back, so we should be alright compared to him, but if we go onto the back straight here, Perez here, not really running as much straight line speed as we are. We're actually going to breeze past our teammate Sergio in towards the chicane now, so we fly past him in towards there. No team orders at Force Career, of course. It is all about me, but at the end of the day, you know, there's no team orders at all. But yeah, we got a very nice run there on Sergio Perez, and we're through. And quite clearly, that was a good thing that we did, because lap 3 of the Grand Prix now, we set the fastest lap of the race on a 1:20.4. Gap to Perez 1.8 seconds, so we're already dropping him. That gap's now up to 2.3 seconds as we press on Lewis Hamilton now in this Grand Prix as we brake in towards the chicane, get a little bit too hot on the brakes, but we get a very nice run here. But I felt like I cut the last corner a little bit too much, so I actually decided not to go for it. I was like, nah, let's not. I've got plenty of time in my pocket, and plus I felt like it was a little bit half-hearted whether I should have done it or not. But what was quite strange is we get very close to the back of Lewis Hamilton there, is that when I was in the slipstream of Hamilton, I was really struggling to find a good place to brake. I was actually overshooting my braking zones quite heavily, so as we go onto the straight now here, that was a little bit of a very crazy move there to attack on Hamilton in the first place. But now as we got onto the start on the back straight here, now as we make our way down in towards the chicane here, we're going to brake a little bit later, and that time around we got the brake in absolutely spot on. Now we can go for an attack here on Hamilton as we go onto the start finish right here, looking towards the final way through. We're going to go towards the inside line, brake a little bit early, but gently roll the car in, and job done. That is us up into the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton drops into 2nd place, and now we can begin to pull away from him. Thank you very much, Jeff, for telling me that was a very nice move. I do realise it was a nice move because I did it myself, so yeah, exactly, get on my level. Now, on to lap 17 of the Grand Prix. We skipped all the way to lap 17. This was the lap that I was meant to be pitting. We got a yellow flag as well in the background there, so someone's had an issue, but this was the lap that we were meant to be pitting. But as you can see, the dry conditions are starting to come into play as Gasly retires from the Canadian Grand Prix. And I was sort of thinking to myself, do I pit for Intis again? Here's a replay of Gasly's problem here. Looks like an engine failure. Do I pit to help myself with regards to just fresh tyres? Or do I try and stay up? But I looked at my rear tyres. They were on 74%. So I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just go into the pits there and get myself a fresh set of intermediates. Even if it's like for 3 or 4 laps, at least I'm not struggling and getting in risk of puncture. The gap rose to 15 seconds between myself and Lewis Hamilton. I don't need to take any risks. The car was feeling absolutely sensational around here as well. So we can afford to make our pit stop. And as we come out of the pits here, we're actually going to rejoin in front of Perez, who's literally just coming down the pit straight. So yeah, no real reason to take any risks. We'll just get out in front of Sergio then, as back end slides a little bit there. Gap is 4.3 to Sergio. It's nice and comfortable, so we're fine, and we can carry on our way. Use these fresh intermediates to get us towards the stage where we're going to need mediums. And speaking of that stage, it is right now. Lap 22 of the Grand Prix. Track is dried up, and as you can see, I was debating whether I could try and get on a set of soft tyres, but I kind of used them all. So yeah, I wasn't going to be able to do that as we come into the pits now for our set of medium compound tyres and going towards the end. By the way, for anyone that's wondering, I mean, no one's ever asked me this before, so I highly doubt I'll ever get asked. But just in case, if you're wondering why I blast it into the pits and I don't break at all, I run with my pit assist on because I genuinely can't be bothered to do all of the pit lane mechanic stuff. For me, as I'm very much a casual and chilled out gamer when I'm playing these Formula 1 games, I literally just like to just drive into the pits, put my controller down, just give my hands a little bit of a rest because I'm playing a controller, can wear out my hands quite quickly, and let the guys just do their own thing, and then I'll just carry on racing them when it finishes like that. So that's what happens. I know it gains me time, but I don't really care, to be honest. I'm just having fun playing the game that I purchased with my own money. Now, lap 25 of the Grand Prix, fast lap of the race so far for us. And you know that meme of Lewis Hamilton with the little Salt Bay meme in the fastest lap? Welcome to that, everybody, because lap 25 then, here we go, lap 26 of the Grand Prix. Can we beat a 1:14.9? We can, with a 1:14.1 as we cross the start-finish line in towards the first corner. Latifi is up the road, a 1:14.1 to beat. Can we beat a 1:14.1? One lap later we can, with a 1:12.7, increasing our performance by 1.4 seconds. But can a 1:12.7 keep us the fast lap of the Grand Prix? Maybe it can, but I completely disagree with that as we cross the line for a 1:12.1 here at the Canadian Grand Prix. And now we're going to go ahead and oh, Jeff is telling me about, you can hear him actually, he's telling me that I shouldn't be setting records and going into lean mix, so I'm going to go into lean mix for him just to be on the safe side. But until lap 29 to start lap 30 of the Grand Prix, we're going to come across the line and set a new fastest lap of a 1:11.1 and go. Okay, Jeff has just told me that that's a good job to fast lap the race. Weird. Anyway, onto this lap, he's talking to me about corner cutting because I got a time penalty somewhere in this as well. 1:10.5, new fast lap of the Grand Prix so far. Now, Jeff, I will be careful about it. I won't do fastest lap anymore, okay? Just let me cross the start-finish line and set a new fastest lap quickly. So 1:10.5 becomes a 1:10.1. New fast lap of the Grand Prix so far. He's actually praising me for once now. I did tell him on the radio that I was going to sack him so that he had to be nice to me. So that's exactly what he's doing. Lap 32 to start lap 33. Can we get a new fast lap of the Grand Prix? Yes, we can with a 1:09.8. As we cross the start. I was having so much fun doing this. I was just there to Sam every single lap when I was in a chat with him. 1:09.8 was like, Jesus Christ. 1:09.7, new fastest lap once again. Okay, now I genuinely don't set any more fastest laps because I just literally don't have any more performance left in these tyres. I've pretty much worn the hell out of them. So, as you can see then, we go a little bit wide into the hairpin here. I was only a 10th down, I was still trying mine. We do have a yellow flag on the start-finish straight for one of the Ferraris, and that is Charles Leclerc with an engine failure there. So, Charles Leclerc, DNS from the Canadian Grand Prix, a bad race for Ferrari. And rest in pieces to Charles, there he is. Poor old boy, he's going to be parking that car up very, very soon. Very much apologetic about that. For me though, I'm not really that apologetic because as we come across the start-finish line, I knew fastest start with a 1:09.4. I wasn't done just yet. I was kidding. I lied to you. And now onto the last lap of the Grand Prix here. I still blitzed it around the chicane to try and go faster. But we come across the line to absolutely commandingly take the Canadian Grand Prix. An absolutely sensational race. From start to finish, we were absolutely dominant. It's a track that I love. It's a track that the AIs are really, really weak at. I did up the difficulty to 106, but maybe I should have just gone to 107. Maybe even tried 110, but at the end of the day, as I've replied to about 700 million comments since I started making my Mind Team episodes, I'm not looking to race on 110 and sweat my living daylights off stressing, not being able to beat the AIs or just, constantly stressing. At the end of the day, I paid money to play this game. I'm playing the game. My only difference is I'm uploading it to you guys because it's a hobby. So this is just literally, as it says, this is my team. This is my career mode. If you fancy giving yourself the biggest challenge, go to 110 AI. Go ahead and do it. I don't want to. I just want to have some fun. That's exactly what we're having. Big up Sergio Perez. That's his second podium in a row now, finishing in P3. So a great result for Force career here today. And that is actually now the team's best result yet. Of course, our best result as a team was a 1-4, which we had in Bahrain. But today, we've now matched that with a double podium for the first time Force career with Sergio Perez picking up his second podium in a row. We also pick up the race victory here today, and we're also going to have a replay of when we overtook Lewis Hamilton here, because I was kind of surprised with the amount of pace that I got on here, so I just kind of wanted to show the braking that we got against Lewis Hamilton when we took that move was kind of a bit strange really, and then we obviously managed to get through down the inside of turn 1, and then we all know the rest from there. But I was just surprised on that specific corner when I actually nailed my braking point, which is why I wanted to go back and show that. yeah, it was quite mad. As you can see, we won the Grand Prix by what was 25.5 seconds, but I did get a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, which, as you would genuinely be shocked at, it was the final chicane, of course. Leclerc DNS from the Grand Prix, but still gets classified. Gasly out of the race as well. Bottas recovers to only finish in P9, not a good race for him. Hamilton finishes in P2. In the Drivers' Championship, the gap is 51 points between myself and Lewis. I believe that gap was 40 points last episode, so that went down really, really quickly. So, yeah, a bit of a shock on that front. But in the Constructors' Championship, which we'll see in a very short amount of time here, you will see that it is now 30 points in the Constructors between ourselves and Mercedes-Benz, thanks to Sergio Perez doing some work for us. So, yeah. As you can see, Clara said that the fans seem to really enjoy that. You guys seem to really enjoy these career modes, so she's clearly not wrong there. As you can see, how do I feel about Alpha? Honestly, I actually answered that question a bit incorrectly. I thought she was talking about me, and I was on my phone speaking to Sam at the same time. Not on the phone with Sam, in an Xbox party chat with Sam, but also on my phone. She also got really pissed because I didn't answer her the question about the collisions. There weren't any. I was in a world of my own. What do you want? What do you want about? But yeah, as you can see then, we actually go up to driver level 14 on the Acclaim there. Sergio Perez is halfway through 13. We get close to Team Acclaim level 18, which is very, very good for us in this stage of the season. Ooh, hiccups. And then in terms of the bonuses there, we get 1.41 million in the bank. And I think next time now, when I get a new sponsorship renewal, I am going to potentially swap for some harder bonuses. I feel like my bonus is a bit too easy, and we could go for some other stuff in there. But as you can see then, we've actually got a lot of upgrades that are scheduled to get onto the way. But we do have 1,500 resource points, which does mean we can make some upgrades. And guess what? I'm going to. So what I decided to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the minor upgrades that I have left onto the car. So we're going to go ahead, start off with the drag reduction upgrade. I'm going to rush it and hope that it comes for the French Grand Prix. God rest my soul, it does. And we're then going to go and get this upgrade for the fuel efficiency. I can standardize it or I can rush it, but if I standardize it, it'll come before the French Grand Prix anyway. So we're going to get that onto the car, and that's all I do actually. I thought I was going to do the chassis one as well. I don't have enough resource points. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to drop it a like and subscribe if you're new around here as well. Next time, we're going to be going over to the second Paul Ricard for the French Grand Prix, which, no matter what happens, will be more interesting than real life. Take care all. Peace.